Welcome to Northpass's webinar series. For those of you who need a refresher, Northpass is a SaaS platform to help customer success and customer education teams train their customers better. I'm Ariel Kranzow. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of hosting a chat with Mark Kilens, one of the co-founders of HubSpot Academy and the current CMO of AirMeet. We dove deep into promotion strategies and tactics to help you get your customers to use and love your academy. Enjoy. The main reason why we're all here is because we're having a similar challenge, which is academy adoption and engagement. And this is something that I was doing a webinar about a month ago, and we kind of asked the question of like, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to your customer education program? And the vast majority, I think it was like 70 or 80% were like promotion, getting people to actually use the academy. So we thought, let's actually talk about it. And that's how we ended up here today. So now let's actually get into the meat of why we're here today. Let's just talk about why is promoting an academy such a big problem to begin with. Mark, we were talking before this, and we were talking about how one of the big reasons why academy promotion doesn't get the right amount of love is because it's not treated like a central function of the business. Do you want to go into a little bit of why that is and how to actually change that?
Yeah, for sure. So my first recommendation for you all is to think of your academy as a product, right? You have a product, you have multiple products, you have services at your business. But one of the most valuable things you're doing, in addition to whatever you're selling for actual dollars, and some of you, I'm sure, are selling your academy stuff as part of either your offering from a service standpoint, or it's an additional cost, which is fine. But I know a lot of you folks are probably doing it as a free resource. Doesn't matter. Treat it as a product. And what I mean by that is when you treat it like a product, you really have to think about who is this product for and how is this going to help them solve their problems? And then that gets translated into messaging and positioning. And that requires then education starting internally, Ariel, like internal education to your sales team, your CS team, your executive team, your marketing team about this product. So I just think the simplest answer is, and we can get into like how I would, think about it as a product and do the product marketing around it. Do it like a product launch, right? If you actually haven't launched your academy like a product, a new product, a big update to a product in a launch type of way, that I think is actually, the first big milestone you have to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way that when we're talking with our customers about launching their academy, they're getting ready to launch, that's like the number one thing we talk about is make sure that the company as a whole understands what you're doing so that you can not just say like, okay, we're going to send an email and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like make sure that everybody in the company is bought into the academy. So you have buy-in from leadership already because you have your customer academy. But make sure that, the marketing team understands its importance and so that they can give you their time and their understanding and their skills to help you get it over the finish line and into people's hands. It's the same way that the product team talks with the marketing team and understands that the product itself is really important. Whether there's a new feature, or an upcoming release or an update to something, and having just like a constant communication about it. Making sure that you're talking to the sales team, right? Like making sure they know what's going on and when they're talking with customers.
Yeah, and the key tip I give you all with that is we did this at HubSpot and at Drift, speak their language. So you of course have to explain the value of your academy and how that's going to deliver extra value to its your customers or to your potential customers that are going to hopefully sign up and engage in the academy. But when it comes to marketing, understand what are marketing's most important goals and how academy could help achieve one or two of those, influence them or directly help with one of those goals. Sales, same thing. So for example, sales, what we learned at HubSpot and Drift was when people engaged with HubSpot Academy or Drift Insider, after they became an opportunity, the likelihood for that customer to have a larger average sales price, ACV, average sales price, was significantly higher. So we said, look, it might be a thing you don't think of intuitively to do, but like, hey, get someone to engage with one of your pieces of education, one of your courses, maybe one of your certifications as part of that sales evaluation process, because you're going to make them that much more educated as a buyer, which will increase your likelihood of closing, which will also command a higher deal value amount. So if you can kind of connect those dots together for people, again, think of it as like that product and sell it internally like that. That'd be amazing. The other thing I do is I would try to find one champion in each of those different teams to help you sell it. Don't try to just blast your message to all of marketing, all of sales, or all of CS. Find one or two people in those teams that actually believe as much as you do, or close to as much as you do, in this academy product that you've built or are building, and use them as a way to influence and sell it to the broader team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think getting people involved and excited about it and having them explain, so you don't always have to do all the work. Like, you can sort of teach your few people and then they can bring it out. I think that's so smart, and definitely something that if you're trying to just like get the rest of your company involved and excited, that's like step one. That's like the baseline of what you need to do, is get people internally in your company excited about it. After that, you need to actually get get a plan in place. I think what often gets overlooked is you're going to launch your academy, you send out one email, and you kind of think like, if you build it, they will come. But, unlike the Field of Dreams, it usually doesn't happen that way. So you need to constantly be reminding people about what you're doing, what changes you're making. And you really need to have a complete academy launch plan. And then addition to that is an academy adoption plan. And like, what does something like that look like? What does having an actual launch plan look like?
Yeah, we can share a template. And Nadine, you have a good question. We'll answer that question for sure in the chat. I'll throw it on the screen really quick because it goes back to audience definition. Who is your product for, right? So, and going back to your question, Ariel, like about the launch plan, is like, who is the audience? So what we use at AirMeet now, we use this at Drift. I wish we actually used it more at HubSpot, but is what I call integrated campaign planning. So you could have a whole campaign be around your academy because it's the trigger event or the trigger offering that necessitates the need for a broader campaign to be put into into your market or into a specific segment of your market. In Nadine, your question to your question, the segment being customers. And the first thing you do with integrated campaign planning is you define the audience. And you get pretty specific with this as well. We go down to the detail of, here are the lists in our CRM or marketing automation system that we're going to try to engage and target with this set of offerings that are all about, in this case, our academy. So an example would be, all right, we're going after all of our current customers, and we want to segment our current customers based off of either product usage data, age, value realization, NPS, right? Whatever you want to do there, Nadine, right? And let us know what you're doing maybe already today. And we're going to create a few different segments. And based off those segments, we're going to create slightly different messaging to those customers based off of what's available in your academy. Because, the academy, Ariel, could be one course, multiple courses, different topics, different things, right? So it's like getting to that level of detail from a campaign standpoint, it's critical because each of those different offerings in your academy, it's a different thing you could present to one of those different segments of your audience, right? And then it's about finding the channel activation. So you got the audience, you got the segments, you're thinking about the offerings, it could be access to a free class out of the course. It could be the course itself. It could be a webinar about, with a speaker about a topic that's taught in one of the classes to get people to sign up. Basically, you're building a mini funnel, and the way in which you activate that mini funnel funnel as part of the campaign is through channels. And that's the last thing, channels. Like, am I going to use email? Am I going to use my CSMs? Am I going to use in-product notifications to get people to my academy? Like, where can I leverage different sources of current attention to point people into this type of experience? So yeah, we have an integrated campaign template I can send out after. If you actually just Google integrated campaign planning, you'll find some great resources as well. But you want to build this holistic plan, Ariel, to your point, so that you can think about all 4 or 5 key components. And then that will also then, if you present that plan to another team or work with them to build that plan, the marketing team is going to be probably that much more bought in. And of course, the last thing I forgot to say is like, what are the goals? Like, what are you trying to do? Of course, it's like sign up and registration engagement, but what is the actual business outcome that you're trying to drive through the academy as well? That'd be part of the campaign planning process too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think making sure that you're just thinking about it holistically, and the way that you said is like from A to Z, and not just from, okay, we're going to send out one email, but thinking about what are all the different channels that you can use to get your message across, and how does that message differ to your different customers. And not everybody and not every company has the luxury of hyper segmentation or being able to have a huge team to depend on. A lot of people, and definitely a lot of Northpass's customers, are really just one-man customer education bands. And they're really just looking to, and that's why I say, like, talk to everybody else in your company. Use, beg, borrow, steal, all the different resources that you can. And if you've never built a marketing campaign, right, if you've been doing customer education and customer success, you've maybe not ever built a marketing campaign before. And that's, we actually have, and I'll send it out after the webinar as well, a promotion playbook, so that you can actually see what step by step really what you need to do, what are the different channels you can reach out to, different tactics you can use to actually get this done without the help directly of the marketing team. But you can then go to the marketing team and say, hey, I have this plan. Can you help me get it across the finish line? And I honestly don't know a marketing team that wouldn't want to say yes to that. And marketing teams, I know all teams really are really busy, but if you can show them what Mark said before is like almost like what's in it for me. So when you're talking to CS, when you're talking to sales, how do you actually show them how the academy is going to help them in their role? That's the way that you're going to get them excited about it, and have the sales team and CS team as part of your launch plan and as part of your adoption plan. You can't forget about the people in your company that are going to help you get there. It's not just sending out an email and posting to social media. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. But I'd love to just dive in a little bit deeper and kick this can a little bit further down the road past this like initial launch. And because when you're launching it, you're announcing it essentially one time, hey, we have this, and you're inviting your current customer base to join. But what happens 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the road is you have new customers that weren't there during the launch, and you might have new courses. You have customers that used it, forgot about it, started a course, didn't start. I want to just like dive deeper into having like a full adoption plan that goes time and time again. And like, I'd say like, let's start with like, what's a regular cadence for kind of reaching out and creating a campaign cycle?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question because you definitely, like you said, like want to work with your marketing team to understand how much you're emailing your customers. And I would include them in that planning process. And I guarantee you a lot of marketing teams, if not all marketing teams these days, are focused in some aspect around customers, either for customer expansion pipeline, revenue potential. There's someone on the marketing team focused on customers, or find the executive that's really passionate about customers that's outside your CS team, your customer team. The place I start is once you have it up and running, leverage data. And what I mean by that is things that we found in my past past jobs is, hey, X amount of people who go through our academy or go through this program or content collection or course in our academy, they generate X% more leads on average. So once you can actually quantify the value of the academy on your customers, and that can be used obviously for marketing for customers, but also for your internal marketing campaigns, you're starting to really like cook with gas, because now it's not really a debate. And to pull on that thread a little bit further, one of the most important things you can do is to find the people who are going through your academies right now that are these like evangelists that have seen great value, great success, have done a ton of stuff for them personally and professionally at their business because of your academy. Make them the spokespeople. Make them build mini case studies of people just going through your academy. Don't think case studies are just about your product. A great case study is both your academy and your product, but in some cases it might just be a simple case study or customer story about, here's XYZ person, they had this huge problem, the academy helped them solve it, here's the results they got. It's a slam dunk. You start doing those things, those can be then additional pieces of content and offerings that are part of your ongoing engagement campaign that you can put into the market, and really leverage a lot of those things in a one-to-one fashion through your CSM support team, AEs if they still own accounts. So those are just a couple suggestions. I'll pause there to see what you think, Ariel. Or you want to take it from there?
Yeah, there's definitely ways that you can go about all the, all of the different, customers, all the different ways you can reach them. One thing you really need to think about is, how do you talk to new customers? How do you talk to existing customers? And what are you doing to engage existing academy users, right? So you have existing customers that aren't part of your academy, and then you have existing customers who use your academy but might not have checked in a while or might not have used it, and understanding. And you always say, like, go back to the data, like the analytics. And it's something that we're going to be talking about in a webinar in a couple of months, is talking about the analytics of your academy and really diving in and using that data to understand where are people getting stuck. If you have one course and people get 45% of the way through and drop off, there's something there that you can do to see where's something going wrong and fix it. And then you can go back and promote it to people who only got 45% of the way through the course, and reach out to them. So you can find these little nuggets of information from the data within your academy, to reach out. And whether it's not, someone in the chat, and I didn't see who, said, they don't want to feel like they're spamming their contacts. And that's something like, I'm on the marketing team, Mark, runs a marketing team. That's something we think about on a daily basis and struggle with, is like, what's too much, what's not enough. We even think about, like, when we're communicating around just one event, a webinar, like, what's too many emails, what's too many social posts, how do we, like, how many times do we reach out and afterwards, before? And it's something that involves a lot of testing. So it's like, keep trial and error, and you will eventually find something that works for your audience and for your company and for your bandwidth. So a 40-person team is going to be different than a 2-person team, than a 1-person team. So there's definitely got to think about, like, what is the ideal? What would you love to do? And then what can you do? And be really consistent about how you do that. And there.
Yeah. No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to, like, add one more thing, is like, there's different points throughout your entire customer journey, but your entire academy journey. So as you build and grow your academy, there are going to be different points where it makes sense for you to re-promote it. And something that, we think about is thinking about doing some sort of campaign quarterly. If you want to just put, like, a benchmark on it somewhere, is just once a quarter, reach out and say, hey guys, like, just remember we have an academy. It doesn't need to be like in your face. It doesn't need to be something like for every single course you add, you need to send out, 7 emails about it. But be really, talk with the marketing team, understand where they have openings in their email campaign, in their social channels, and make sure that you're in that, having that communication so that you can fit yourself in and make sure that you're reaching the customers at the right time.
Yeah, I agree. To build off of that, 2 suggestions, 2 points I'd make. One is build your academy funnel. So top of funnel is anyone who's not signed up ever. Middle of the funnel is people who have signed up. And then in the middle of the funnel, there's a few different stages: signed up, engaged this much, et cetera, et cetera. You can have a few different segments in that middle of the funnel. Bottom of the funnel are the advocates. Here are the people that are just crushing with Academy. They've taken all the certifications. They've done 3 or more. They've completed all these things. They're a huge Academy user, plus they're a case study, right? So build the funnel and measure it on a weekly basis, at least every month. And then I would also suggest that, going back to the point you just made, you got to think through how to show value of the academy, right, through numbers. I cannot stress this enough. So this might be a crazy idea, but it's something we did at HubSpot, something we did at Drift, and it worked tremendously. Anyone who signs up for your academy is a lead. And you might be like, what do you mean is a lead? I'm only doing customers. Well, every customer, for most businesses, there's a potential to upgrade them or expand them, or at least very much retain them. So if you your marketing team to agree that these are leads, folks. These are people that are showing intent. The act of signing up for something is an intent signal. The act of completing something in your academy is an intent signal. The more that you can educate marketing and sales that your academy is a great source of intent signals, customer intent or buying intent signals, value-based intent signals, advocacy-based intent signals, the more they're going to be like, ooh, I want to help you with that. I want to help you get more people to show that intent and do that, because we know from the numbers that people who go through Academy generate this much better results with our product, generate this much better ROI, use the product this much more, and it starts to create a big snowball effect. And magic does start to happen. And that's what I experienced in my past 2 companies. Hopefully doing something similar at AirMeet soon. But don't be afraid to be a little provocative and say, no, these are leads. And you can call them something else, right? I know there's the education qualified lead, the academy qualified lead, and then look at the intent signals too.
Yeah, so there's a question in the chat that's saying the concern is, how do you get people motivated about what you're doing, your courses, your content? And so one thing I want to say is that if people are using your product, right? Because let's say we're just talking about a customer academy here, right? If someone's already using your product, they already understand the value of what you do. Having them understand the value of your academy is not going to be so hard to prove. And what Mark just said is great. Use numbers, right? Use your advocates, use real numbers, real people to get the stories out there to show, this person took this certificate course and now they have this result. So making sure that you're really specific about what you're talking about. If you see somebody is struggling or they're not using, there's launched a new feature, right? And you want people to care about that new feature. So you created a course about it in your academy. Part of the entire feature launch should be this course. And your product team didn't build a feature just for fun, right? They weren't just like, oh, this would be super cool if we did that, but we don't know if anybody wants it or cares about it. If a feature is built in a product, someone wants it and needs it, and helping them use it the best way possible, you're already showing them that value. So there's something there already within your company that they're getting value from. And so just being really specific about what you're saying is going to help them understand why they should go to your academy, take your course, take your learning path, take your certificate, and you're going to show them what they can get from it based on real results of what's happened in the past. One thing that,
Yeah, I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, one thing that, you can really do is talk with, like, look, again, like, look through your analytics, but also, like, talk to your product team, do user research, understand really why customers are using the product in the way that they're using it, and what's the results, what are they actually getting out of it.
Yeah, and I would do something like this. And in fact, like, I'm just gonna throw a quick CTA on the screen. Do a live event or webinar like this. Get 3, like, to your point, Ariel, like, you get 3 people that are just crushing it with your academy to tell their story and to evangelize on your behalf, and not just tell their story, but like set it up so that each person has 15 minutes over the course of an hour-long kind of webinar, and they teach 1 or 2 things they learned during the academy to the audience as well. So it's not just like, hey, rah rah, here you go, but like, they're going to become the teachers, right? Like the flywheel completes itself, right? Like, they're the students, now they're the teachers, so we're offering a free webinar for anyone who wants to do that. You can click on the link on the screen. But my point is, if you do that, think of that as your top of the funnel, because you're going to target people who have not signed up yet, or people who have yet to really engage with this webinar. And you're going to be able to do exactly what Ariel just said: collect some signals of intent, ask them a few questions during it, see what they're thinking, see what the biggest problems are, and then have your CSMs or AMs follow up personally after the webinar to engage with those customers to say, hey, I noticed you're interested in this. We have this great course that you can take. Let me help you get signed up. Let me help you check in after you go through it, like that type of stuff, right? So I think there's a huge benefit to going back to that marketing mentality of, look, you don't even need marketing to maybe help you do that, other than maybe send an email or 2. And if not even marketing is going to do that, you could just get your small or large CSM team to promote it to their customers as well. Like, we were super scrappy at HubSpot. I was doing BCC emailing to people. I know it's maybe not the best thing to do, but like, I would get 50 emails. I would BCC, send it out. It was a personal email, very human people first. And I would get a ton of engagement from doing that, right? So also be a little scrappy. And sometimes I'd say ask for forgiveness. Don't always assume you have to get permission either.
Yes, that's, I think, one of the best tools in marketing is to ask for forgiveness, not for permission. It's, it is what it is. It's a good life lesson as well. But it definitely gets people, it's good to be a little bit, and be fun, like bring personality to it. It doesn't just have to be like, even if you have like the world's most boring product, you can make learning about it really fun. And you can be whimsical and realize, and I think something that I always think about as a marketer is like, I'm not just talking to the CMO or the head of CS. I'm talking to a person. And I'm talking to a person who likes all sorts of different activities. And I think gone are the days of being really, really, quote unquote, professional all the time. Like, take off your B2B hat, or, you're just super buttoned up language, and let loose a little bit, especially when it comes to an academy. Like, you don't want to watch a boring video. Like, how many of us have taken like that super boring corporate training? Yeah, everybody. And you just click through it and you're like, oh my God, am I done yet? Can I please be done yet? How can I skip through this faster? And if you actually make it fun, and there's a lot of, content, and the content in it, and, I do content marketing, so I think I'm a little biased, but like, the content in it is really what's going to be important about it. So if you can say, hey, you want to learn this product, here's a really great way to do it. And it's not going to be boring. You're not going to fall asleep during it. It's going to be quick. It's going to be easy, and you're going to gain a lot of value from it. That's the way to get customers, not only in like, we named this webinar, like, don't just get them to use it, get them to love it. And you're going to do that by having really valuable, really engaging, fun content. And, always remember, like, as you're creating anything, like, people are people. and they, they're busy in their lives, and your product might not be the thing they're thinking about all the time. But if you can make it something that they want to do and that they want to tell their colleagues to do, and their friends and their network to do it, that's where you're striking gold. So really think about what you can do to show how valuable it is, and whether or not that's getting just a video clip up somewhere about the course, of watch somebody take the course on like 4 times speed and see what happens. There's a lot of different ways to be creative about it, and you can think about that's like having a good relationship with your design team, have a good relationship with your marketing team, and generate ideas. Even if you're a one-man band, or with customer education specifically, you're not alone within your company. Sit and brainstorm. You don't have to come up with every idea by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that you could try to do, and we definitely did this at HubSpot. I think we did it a few times at Drift, is get the CEO to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Like, if the CEO talks about it on stage in an email, people pay attention. I mean, for the most part, as long as, the CEO is respected and kind of, out there from a public standpoint, it doesn't have to be crazy, like, public figure, but a lot of validity when you have someone who's a trusted, public figure of the brand of the company to get behind it. And the CEO, I think it's an easy sell to the CEO. Hey, you want to, drive more efficient growth these days. Your customers are like the best place to drive more efficient growth. So, hey, we need just some help. We're going to draft it up for you. You can do you can make any edits, but we're going to send an email communication from you about our new academy, or the new course in our academy. Or we want to have you be part of one of these 30-minute webinars that we do about it, right? One of these, or you could do a live learning experience, right? Maybe you introduce regular monthly programming that's live once a month. That's part of your academy. That's a supplement to maybe all of the on-demand stuff you do, right? So I think you have to definitely think a little bit outside the box these days. And goes back to what I was just saying, like, don't be afraid to ask someone or someone in the company or outside the company to help you promote it. But also don't be afraid to do something, that might have a really good positive result, but you don't have to, get everyone's permission, check all the boxes to go off and do. Like, be a little scrappy. I mean, some crazy things that we did that did not scale is we would send personal LinkedIn messages to all the people who signed up but never really engaged in HubSpot Academy in the early days. And I can't remember the exact number, but it was close to 50%. I know it was very close to 50% of those people responded and then would start to engage. Again, 5 of us did that. We sent out, I think, a couple hundred a week. That added up very quickly, It's not that hard to do, right? So don't always think about doing things at scale. Sometimes you got to do things, even if you have scale, you got to do them kind of in the do not scale bucket.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if there's a way that you can do something one-off and it'll be really powerful for that moment, that's okay, right? Not everything has to be a scalable program, right? Your academy has to be scalable, and your marketing and your promotion of the academy as a whole needs to be scalable, but not every single thing that you do to get there needs to be scalable. And I just want to be mindful of time. And just before we get to the Q&A, I just wanted to mention one thing, which is that if you want, you can actually get on a call with somebody from Northpass, and we'll actually, whether you're a Northpass customer or not, we will help you talk through your promotion program. So if you need help, you want to get on a call with me or with someone from my team to actually think about all the things that you can do to build out your customer academy promotion, we're actually here to help. It's something that we don't do all the time, but it's something that we think is so important. There was such a big there's such a big response to actually needing help to do this. And we're such big fans of customer education and know how valuable it is. And if we can get it into more hands, we want to be able to do that. So just click up the button on the screen now, and you'll get on a call with me and with someone else from my team, and we'll be able to help you on a quick call, just sort of shore up what you're talking about, ideas, because we know, and definitely a lot of Northpass customers are small teams. And so we're definitely here to help get that, get that plan together and make sure that you know exactly what you need to do to get people to your academy. And then
Great.
Mark,
Great
I just
offer.
wanted to know, like, do you have any just like tidbits and just last thoughts of something like really valuable that you can share with all your years of experience in marketing?
Man, I mean,
Rough one.
I think the last point I made was super important. Do things that don't scale. I'm telling you, that's how we made the success of HubSpot Academy so big in the early days. Same with like Drift Insider, which was a slightly different take on an academy. I can't stress that enough. And I'd say, like, there's a question from Marina, like, it's all about it's all about like what they're trying to learn and why, right? So like the more focus you can put on the value that the live session or the on demand session is going to have on someone, it's like kind of like when you think about education, right? It's like backwards planning. What are the learning objectives, learning outcomes, right? Like what are you thinking about in regards to that? Like focus on those things. And when it's non-formal, like it's still, there's an objection or objective, I should say, that's being had. Like look at today, right? Like this was a nice conversation. It was fluid. Hopefully it was pretty engaging for you all. But like, if you look back and look at the recording, or if ChatGPT take this and like, build into like, here are the 6 key takeaways. I think we did a pretty good job of like mapping to those 6 key takeaways. So the last tip I'll give you when it comes to that piece, of doing something live or on demand that's more informal, is preparation and planning. Just like how you would spend a lot of time preparing and planning for like one of your on-demand courses or content experiences as part of your academy, spend equal amount of time planning and preparing for the promotion of it, the launch of it, or anything you do live as a way to drive people to come into it or to re-engage into it. Don't spend a couple hours. If you're going to do an hour-long webinar, my golden rule is minimum 5x the time planning and promoting it. Probably more like 10x, right? Just like if you do a big event, like a customer education event, a customer conference, if it's a day-long event, you're going to spend usually 30 to 50x amount of time getting ready for that big in-person customer event conference. Too many people leave it to chance when it comes to promoting their academies. So spend more time planning and promoting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think so. Just to wrap up, there were so many really important takeaways here today. I will follow up in the coming days with an email with some content. So the how to promote your customer academy playbook. Mark has a template that he's going to share. I'll send that along to everybody who attended the webinar. And then we'll definitely have some other really interesting tidbits. If you want to, again, I'll send you guys a link to have a call with me to help you build out your customer academy promotion plan. If you want, you have something, you want to run something by somebody, I'm available. Feel free to connect with myself and with Mark on LinkedIn. We're there, pretty active. So, again, like what I said before, like we're people, you're people. We all really want to do great things at our companies with our job. And Mark, I just want to say that I don't think there are any other questions. We had a bunch throughout the webinar. So let's, and Mark just shared his LinkedIn. I'm not that prepared.
All good.
I'll send it along. Don't worry. So I just want to say again, thank you, Mark, so much for being here and talking with us. Everybody on the call, I really hope you found this valuable. And if you have any other questions, reach out to me. I'll send some feedback and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, if there's anything like last minute I can help answer, feel free. We got 10 minutes. Appreciate it, Kathy. Cheryl, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a fun conversation for sure.
All right. Sounds great. All right. Bye, everyone.